The most important issue that we face in the planet today is how to change all the obsolete way of thinking into new ones. Now, this is not to say that you want to wipe out all traditions and so forth, because they've got a lot of very positive elements in them. But all conservative traditions have things that are obsolete. The Bedouin population is a population that is in total transition, where all the cultural and all the tenets are falling apart. One of the things that I think that keeps that particular group back in a very powerful way, very obvious way, is the fact that women are very suppressed. If the Bedouins are at the bottom of the pecking order in Israel, the women are at the bottom of the Bedouin order, so they have no rights. They don't expect to have education, they don't expect to have opinion, they don't expect to... And it's funny because this is in a culture where actually women were extremely active and really responsible for everything. So here's a place that it's a society that needs to make a jump into the 21st century, and it will not do it unless it changes some fundamental tenets in its culture that were considered important, but they're obsolete. The two most important ones, in my view, are the gender issue and the blood, the blood feud, the blood vengeance, which continues things forever and ever. So that's at the essence of change. That the point is always to understand what are the concepts that you have in your tradition that are obstacles to what has to happen, to what needs to emerge, that needs to be born, what needs to be reintegrated. And it takes time for people to realize, but it's happening, I think, even in the Middle East. I was born and grew up in Israel. Actually, I was born before the state was formed. So when the state came to be in 48, 49, I was 4 or 5 years old. And I think that this was an incredibly important formative experience those years, because it was a very unusual place at the time, extremely idealistic, basically one community. There was no difference between people and so on. Really a swell of idealism that permeated everything. So it was a rare situation that actually unfortunately didn't last very long, of a whole society focused on one idea of building a new nation and becoming a model for a new positive reality. This idealistic period where you don't think of yourself, you really think of the rest of this enterprise was very, very important. So I think for me it's now the question of how to integrate everything that I've learned. And I really had some exceptional privileges experienced in my life, for example, with Fuller and many other things like that. Not many, but some other things like this, which I think are incredibly relevant to many of the dilemmas that we face in the world today. So the challenge for me now is how to organize myself and all that experience in the best possible way to make use of it. And for that purpose, I decided some years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, to really stop my consulting work practice and focus on this idea of developing this sustainability laboratory as a vehicle to experiment with all those issues of change and so on.